Good Monday morning, everyone. Virgo Triad here. It is May 20th, 2019, and I hope everybody's having a great start to their week. We are going to be talking about a very important subject that we're going to be debunking today, and it is the all caps name that certain movements like to spread around like wildfire. It is the basis, the spearhead of what creates such anger in the majority of people who have never heard this actual theory before. It drives them into a rabbit hole that ultimately tends to overtake their entire life. And then at that point, they start falling into other theories that are also not founded and without merit. And they begin to find themselves getting in trouble, doing things like the supposed right to travel theory, that they think that they can drive without a driver's license without any kind of a problem, and they fail to do real research. So that is what this video is about, is the very beginnings of what the movements that are spreading these lies start with, and that is the claim of the all caps name. Now, some of you know that I have a GoFundMe campaign that is up, and that GoFundMe campaign is about funding a website with a database that is search engine optimized to a point that when someone looks up any of these theories that are not accurate, what they will do is they will locate real information alongside the falsified information, so that there's some place for them to actually look so that they can track these things and determine whether or not they are real or not. It's very important that we get this website up and that we have something to combat this misinformation with. It's creating havoc in people's lives. I have reports constantly via email and in the comments section that let me know that people's family members are becoming more and more angry and more where they can't talk to them, they can't reason with them, they can't make them understand by even looking at actual factual information, laws out of a law book, speaking to someone that knows the laws and works in this type of industry every single day, cannot talk sense into these people, because once they get started with this theory, it arises an anger in them that we have seen is very it's very all-encompassing. It seems to be something that almost indoctrinates them to a point where all of a sudden they think that the entire government is corrupt. There may be things that have been done by the government that is corrupt. As I've said in the past, there are some real theories that people need to take a look at and pay attention to. For sure, that's the case. However, the ones that I am talking about and debunking on the Virgo Triad channel simply are false. End of story. And they're things that are getting people into a lot of trouble. I would like for you to take a look at my case in point here, and that is the all caps name. And I have Google searched this for you, which all of you can do. Go on your Google search engine and type in all caps name. You will be horrified after you watch this video and I show to you proof. This is not a bunch of BS. These are cases that you can pull up where the appellate courts and the Circuit 3 courts all agree that this is not true. However, when you search all caps name on Google, the very first thing that you come up with is proper nouns, such as your name should only be spelled with the first letter and capitalized only. First letter capitalized only. Corporations are spelled with capital letters. That is right. Your name in all capital letters is a corporation set up for you by the United States Corporation. Another truth is that your federal government is a corporation. Both of those things, terribly untrue, complete and total fabrications. And people see this the minute that they search Google, all caps name. which would be the main thing that people would search after looking at a YouTube video to find out whether or not this is actually true. Now, if you look a little further, you'll notice that this itself is a YouTube video, and it's called Boris Explains Strawman, Why Is Your Name in All Capital Letters. It means nothing. This is not a person that has any authority or any real knowledge, clearly, because we know, and after this video you're going to see, 100% your name being in all caps has absolutely nothing to do with you being a fiction of any sort. Now, if you go down to the second one, you're going to see the question here: why is your legal name written in all capital letters? Your legal name, which is used by the government to identify you, a body of water or liquid, is written in all capital letters because it is a piece of liquidated capital. In other words, it has been securitized and turned into a financial instrument, hence the phrase liquidated capital. 100% a lie, not true in any way, shape, or form. But these are the first two things that come up when you search all caps name in the Google search engine. Once again, my GoFundMe account for this database that will combat this misinformation. Because, by the way, you have to go to about the third page to be able to determine any real information whatsoever, because there is such a small amount of information about why your name would be in all caps letters. There's a good reason for that. Most people would realize that it has absolutely nothing to do with being monetized in some way. But regardless, there's very little information when you search for it. This SEO website will be able to combat that. It's very important. So please, if you cannot donate, then please share and explain why it is that you're sharing it. This misinformation online has to stop, and this is the best way to do it. Now, moving on, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at 4 different cases where judges have ruled in different types of courts that this about the all caps is a bunch of BS. And I think you're going to find this very informative. I'm going to take you step by step, and then all of these cases will be located, the links will be located in the description below this video, along with the GoFundMe, in order to assist if you guys want to donate to that, in addition to the search engine results that you guys can pull up on your own and take a look at and read. It is horrifying to me that somebody of 21 years old who has not been in the business area of just life long enough to really recognize whether something is real or not, gets sucked down into this rabbit hole that is full of nothing but lies and becomes jaded because of that. It is terrifying to me that people believe what they see on a search engine and do not question it. So in order to combat that, we have to be able to have something that is equally as visible for them to be able to look at real facts. And we can stop some of this terrible misinformation and lies and an attempt at doctrinizing people by misinformation and lies. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be looking at here is called, it's a website that's called TermsFeed. What it does is this website basically does things like privacy policy generators for your websites, terms and conditions generators. They specialize in what would be considered legal agreements. And we're going to take a look at what their contents is on why all caps. All right, so let's take a look at that now. The use of all caps in contracts arises from legal interpretations, typesetting abilities, and tradition. Even though some of the circumstances that made it necessary no longer exist today, all caps continues to prevail. Law. During the 20th century, the United States looked to promote uniform laws. National Bar Association pursued this goal by publishing books of suggested laws. These were referred to as uniform codes, and one of them was the Uniform Commercial Code, or the UCC. The UCC was first published in 1952 with updates following every 5 to 10 years. It continues to be updated today with the latest update issued in 2012. The code is considered a standard for state laws addressing commercial transactions, including their contracts. Now, why are we talking about the UCC? We're talking about the UCC because we are talking about contracts, okay? When states started passing their own versions of the UCC, because there's a UCC that's a little bit different for every single state, regardless of what you're being told by a lot of these misinformation people, they're telling you that basically the UCC is federal. It is not. It is state to state different, so you need to pay attention to that. Court cases regarding contract interpretation became common. One issue included conspicuous contract language. What this is about is the use of all caps, okay, to be conspicuous, not inconspicuous. Let's not misconstrue it. Inconspicuous would mean that we're trying to hide it, but instead it's conspicuous contract language, meaning that if something is in all capital letters, like your name, for example, in a court case, it's because they're trying to draw attention to it. The subject in this definition was taken literally. Attorneys argued and courts agreed that using all caps on important provisions made it conspicuous. It became common practice to draft important contract provisions in all caps to meet this standard. That means that it was not to try to hide something from you, it was trying to draw attention to it for you. It has absolutely nothing to do with being monetized or in some manner trying to call you a fiction of some sort. It simply is to draw attention to it because one person's case is different than another person's case. Let's take a look further at some court cases that will help you to understand this. The first case we're going to be looking at, ironically, is State of Ohio versus Kevin B. Gunnell. And what I'm going to do is just read you the sections of these that actually make the point, and then I'm going to list them in the description area for you to go ahead and read for yourself. There are certain words that I'm going to be leaving out of what is obviously written here. I'm doing that because YouTube's algorithm is picking up on specific terms, like the SC term. And the reason it's doing that is to demonetize videos that have anything to do with parties that they consider to be politically pushing false information. We'll put it that way. So I'm going to just refer to them as an SC. We note that similar SC arguments have been raised in various federal court actions by pro se litigants. Pro se, for those of you that don't know, mean representing themselves, albeit unsuccessfully. United States versus Benaby, and then they give you that court decision that you can read for yourself. Regardless of an individual's claimed status of descent, be it an SC, a secured party creditor, or a flesh and blood human being, that person is not beyond the jurisdiction of the courts. Black versus Florida. Petitioner's act of writing his name in all capital letters does not change him from being a human, a natural person, to some form of legal entity, thus deprive the state court of jurisdiction to prosecute him for criminal offenses. So, what does that mean? What that means is that having your name written in all caps does not make you in any way, shape, or form a fictitious person. Not at all. Again, I'm going to go ahead and leave these underneath the description or in the description of this video so you can read these for yourselves. This actually goes into more detail with regards to the all capital letters. For example, down here it says rejecting defendant's claim that the use of all capital letters means that the defendant is an artificial or fictitious person in some manner. These are things that, you know, are important. We're talking about the Court of Appeals here that is giving out this information. On to step number 2 here with the second. Payne versus Clinda is going to be our second case. You will find these cases are very, very interesting with regards to what it is that they're actually about. This video would take about 2 hours if I went into that detail, but it's really worth your while if you have the time to read these cases. They're very interesting in what these people are actually attempting to try to make claims to. Okay, so here we go. I have highlighted the section that is going to give us the information, and it states, plaintiffs claim that he is not subject to the laws of the state of Michigan because of some distinction between corporate personhood and actual personhood is totally spurious, unfounded, and frivolous. As discussed below, it will be sufficient to conclude that plaintiffs' allegations are utterly frivolous and end the inquiry here. However, the court makes a few fairly obvious observations for the sake of clarity and finality. First, there is no legal distinction between a capitalized and uncapitalized name in criminal matters. See United States versus McAtee, number 513, CR 17, 2013. And it goes on to another case in addition. Let me just inform you guys right now, there are probably hundreds, and I have not counted them, so I'm just guessing conservatively, of these cases that will tell you there is nothing founded whatsoever. There is nothing legitimate about the statement or the claim or the theory that the capitalization of your name in any manner, being it civil or criminal, which there are civil ones that I'm going to show you in here also, has anything to do with you not being a real person or there being a fiction versus a real flesh and blood man. It's all garbage. All of it is garbage. And even this states this argument lacks any basis in the law and in the court's eyes is utter nonsense. Okay, we're moving on here to the United States versus Mitchell. This is from 2005. Oh, and by the way, the majority of these cases are going to be fairly recent. I think the oldest one, there is one in here that's from 1949 that I didn't even list in that I'm aware of, but the rest of them, they're all 2000 and above. So these are fairly recent, unlike a lot of these that you see cherry-picked by the groups that are trying to push these theories. Okay, so we're going to go down here to where I've highlighted it in red, and it states, the exact theory relied on by the defendants is difficult to ascertain, but it seems to be related to their common statements insisting that, quote, I do not consent, I did not sign anything, and I do not understand the attached documents. The front page of the second superseding indictment. The defendants also persistently claim that they are not properly identified in the caption of the indictments because their names are printed in all capital letters, thereby failing to properly represent them as flesh and blood men. These arguments are patently without merit. Over and over again, we're going to see this. Here we go with Anderson versus O'Sullivan, and this is from 2014. Again, a very interesting case, something well worth the read. It's about a mortgage. I know there's many of you that have had questions with regards to mortgages. I'm going to go ahead and read this out. I want for you to hear the whole thing. This is very inclusive in terms of what the redemption theory and vapor money theory is, and I think it's important for you guys to hear this. It says the redemption theory calls for proponents to exploit the UCC filing process to take advantage of an individual's fictional, that's one of those words again that gets caught, so I'm not going to say it, but basically, we're talking about a personality that is not flesh and blood according to these misinformation people, whereas in this case, it does not make one bit of difference, and that is simply just not true. Monroe versus Beard, and gives you that information. Summarize the essence of the redemption argument. At some point, I will probably go over that case with you guys. The redemption theory propounds that the person has a split personality, a real person and a fictional person called the SM. The SM purportedly came into being when the United States went off the gold standard in 1933 and instead pledged the SM as its citizens as collateral for the country's national debt. Redemptionists claim that the government has power only over the SM and not over the live person who remains free. Individuals can free themselves by filing UCC financing statements, thereby acquiring an interest in their SM. Thereafter, the real person can demand the government officials pay enormous sums of money to use the SM's name. Citing Black's Legal Dictionary as authority, redemptionists reason that a SM is one who acts as an agent for another for the purpose of taking title to real property and executing whatever documents and instruments the principal may direct respecting the property. Person who purchases property for another to conceal identity of real purchaser or to accomplish some purpose otherwise not allowed. The Americans Bulletin Redemption Manual, From Government-Imposed Ignorance to Enlightenment as a Secured Party Investor, is where they're getting that quote from, and quoting Black's Legal Dictionary, the 6th edition, emphasis in original. This legal fiction, therefore, must be captured by filling the appropriate UCC financing statements to secure a claim via a superior security interest against the all-capitalized legal fiction SM, the property, and the collateral. Okay, I'm not going to go any further into this. You guys all understand that the UCC contract that they are referring to is the UCC1 financing statements. It does not do anything like what it's claimed that it supposedly does here. It does not separate you, as there is no separation in the first place in terms of being a fictional person versus your own person when you go to court. The only time that would actually apply would be if you yourself filed for a corporation. You have a board of directors that protects you as a person from the business corporation that you yourself have put in place with the Secretary of State in the location that your incorporated filings are with. That you do yourself. You would certainly know about it. This lie, this fallacy that your own name has in some way actually been put in place as in all capitals in order to make you a corporate fiction is 100% a bunch of crap. These are 4 different cases that prove that, and I have tons more that prove it. But like I said, it would take me several hours to do this video if I continued on. I do want to mention here that this case is very important for those of you that are researching this. I know I have a couple of students that watch my videos regularly, and I want to say to you, the students, Michelle, listen up. This is an important case for you to read. If you choose to do Michelle did a wonderful paper on the SC movement not very long ago, and I'm going to do a video on that. And I want for you to know, Michelle, that this is a case you definitely need to read. So take a look at it, because this tells you not only the BS having to do with the all caps name, but this also gives you a great amount of information on the vapor money theory, where they claim that money is made up out of thin air, and that I don't even want to get into it. But the bottom line is, this is an important case for you students to take a look at. It gives a lot of information on what is real and what is not real. Again, we all know, those of us who have tried to get people out of the rabbit hole and understanding that these things are not real, and show all kinds of proof and all kinds of evidence over and over again. And it doesn't matter. If they're deep enough down the rabbit hole, they just simply don't listen. They'll claim that the judge is treasonous or some other crazy thing. And that's why I try to show many of them all together when I do a video like this. But in this case, here's 4 different cases. I'm going to put 5, as a matter of fact, within the description of this video. There's an additional one I'd like for everybody to read if you have time, but I don't want to take up extra time for those of you that don't have it to watch the video. Please take this into consideration. I want you to think about the fact that if you have a child that is 16 years old and they find a YouTube video that tells them that everything you as a parent have told them is a complete and total lie, and their government is trying to harm them because the first thing that they did was lie to you as a mother and father about their birth certificate and put their names in all caps, which turned them into a corporation, and they search all caps name, this is what they're coming up with. This is the very first thing that they find. So please, for those of you that are capable of doing it, please donate to the GoFundMe that will be linked in the description of this video so that this way we can get this website up and we can start combating this misinformation. It is doing so much damage to people, I can't even tell you. All right, everyone, we're right at the 25-minute mark. I want to end it here. I don't want it to get too much longer. So I hope this helped everybody. This certainly gives you some cases to use in the event that you run across one of these individuals or there's misinformation that you find yourself. It certainly gives you as parents information that you can provide to your children that may come to you wanting to know why they're seeing these types of things. And for those of you that have spouses that have emailed me, especially the couple of people that emailed me over the weekend, please use these cases, go over them. They're using case laws themselves that are cherry-picked to try to prove this as being a fact. Here are some cases that you can show as case law, that if they're already using case law themselves, then they have to take a look at these and consider these, because these are in their entireties. They are absolutely not cherry-picked in any way. They simply state what reality is, and that is that the all caps name has nothing to do with turning you into a fiction. All right, everybody, I hope you have a great afternoon, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.